Last week, a small crew gathered to make a short film. The amount of effort that went in to ensure there were enough food during the breaks, lunchtimes, and evening meals was immense. Everything had to be perfect, to the point where none of the crew would have noticed, other than they got to enjoy the meals and drinks. There was so much coordination after each block of filming. There had to be hot food and drink to provide sustenance for the cast and crew. All the behind the scenes had to be managed so everyone could be in the right place at the right time, even when the schedule was changed due to unexpected weather or a cast member having to arrive or leave at a different time. The amount of preparation for a simple 4-day shoot took several months prior to principal photography. There were also a few sleepless nights as the first day of filming drew near. Little upsets that could have thrown a massive spanner in the works and turned the whole production on its head. No matter how much effort you put in, there comes a point when you simply have to hand it over to God, to put your faith in Him, that everything will fall into place. With all the preparation, some may say too much. You do have everything covered, simply because you have used all the tools available to you to counteract any contingencies that may arise. On our film, there was an extensive wardrobe change for 3 characters. As we were shooting the film out of order, we had to come up with a solution to ensure continuity was maintained. All good learning for everyone involved that could be applied on the next shoot. Now, think of what would happen if no one turned up. What a disaster that could have been. All the food would have gone to waste. Hiring a camera, lights, sound equipment, and all the accessories would still have to be paid for. The locations and props also cost money. All the preparations would have been for nothing. How frustrating would that have been? For everyone, there is a massive commitment needed to ensure all the parts mesh together and function. Only then can the end results be produced. In the case of a film, everything must be shot in a way that the editor, who is not necessarily on set, can locate and turn into a finished film. 4 days of filming usually ends up being 16 days of editing. Imagine the banquet the Lord of Hosts has prepared, as Isaiah tells us, for every human being on the planet. All the rich foods and fine wines. God will wipe away death, along with the tears of those who are in pain or bereaved. Our shame will be taken away. God will bring about our salvation, and we will be lifted and be joyful. Paul reminds us that he had experience of good times and bad, times when his belly was full and times when it was empty. With God's help, he knew he could cope with anything. Through Christ Jesus, all his needs were provided, and so will ours if we put our trust in him. Jesus tells us in Matthew, the kingdom of heaven is like a king putting on a feast for his son's wedding. Everyone is welcome. The only rule is that we come appropriately dressed to honor the father and the groom. What the king faced was a list of guests who ignored the invitation to attend. They went so far as to beat up the messengers, even killing some of them, so they could go on in their selfish ways. In the king's fury, he sent troops to kill the murderers and destroy the towns. This opened up the way for others who were more willing to accept the king's invitation and commit to attend. Even then, one guest did not dress properly and had no excuse for his carelessness. That person was bound hand and foot, then thrown into the darkness, into a harsh place of crying and stress. On a film production, many can be invited to be part of the process, both with the cast and crew. If the wrong actor is given a character to play, the film can be a disaster. Likewise with the crew, if someone has the wrong attitude, they can bring the whole production down. I remember one production I was invited to. The wardrobe designer kept telling everyone that the film wasn't a proper film. Such comments unsettled the rest of the crew, making them think that the production they were on could affect their credibility for getting work on future productions. There is a saying, "You are only as good as your last project." Due to the disharmony that was spreading, the wardrobe designer had to be replaced to help boost morale. On our film set, virtually everyone there had their own worries. Stuff that at times would have had them in tears or suffering from great anxieties. Yet, for a few days, they each had time to be in the present, to be in the now, putting behind them their concerns of the past and their worries for the future. They had become focused on the task at hand. Then, during the breaks and lunch periods, you could find them laughing and joking about the experiences they had just shared together. They were no longer lonely, lost in their own world of problems, but were getting a chance to share with others a common goal. All knew they were not in control. They had reached a point where, no matter how much preparation made, it was all in God's hands. All that was needed was to have faith. They were the chosen few. Many had been invited, but this group had come to the call. They accepted the terms laid out and were happy to be led. All God asks us is that we can accept Him, and He will direct us to a rich banquet in the kingdom of heaven.